the phone. He goes, hey, man, you guys still putting that game together, that game show? And they go, we're thinking about it, but we had a bump. And he goes, what's the bump? And he goes, well, we don't know who to cast. Who we really want wants a lot of money. And he goes, who you want to cast is sitting right in front of me.
What game show is this?
It was a game show where you go out to dinner with your husband and we burglarize your house.
Shut up.
Something just
That's a game show?
This is it was like a reality.
How do you win?
You have to win your
It
stuff.
was like a mock. It was like a mock.
That sounds
reality type
amazing.
show. It was NBC. It was fucking MB. At that time, they didn't know what was going to happen.
You burglarized the house?
So they were not me. Hold on. So they were picking up. They were picking up everything. Kate Quigley.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what reality was going to buy. They didn't know that the Bachelorette was going to be popular.
Sure.
They did not know these things. So this was slash. What do you call those things? What are those cars that are half electric, half fucking
hybrid?
diesel? This was going to be a hybrid show.
I might have seen this. Is this the one?
No. You never seen Dick.
Oh.
They had a show in like the early 2000s with two guys who were breaking into houses.
But that was to teach you how guys would break in.
No. This was a show where a family went out. We got their alarm codes.
Oh my God.
And then we broke into your house. And I was the host of the show. And these people broke into your house. And then, how did you get your stuff back?
The kids come home, they're like crying, like all their shit is gone.
Something really weird. And then...
Was the game show like taking place inside the house?
Was the game show like how far can you be pushed before you kill yourself?
All I remember is, guys, that they had me at Paramount in front of a fucking like
right away.
Like 3 weeks later, this fucking thing started. And they're like, you're the man. They came to see me at the store. They stayed for 2 spots, and they're like, you're the
That
host.
is perfect for you.
They're like, you're the host. So we go back and forth. Now they want to do a screen test for the network. So we go to Paramount, and I get up on stage, and the lights are behind me, and the houses, and I got to do this fucking spiel. All right? So, okay, the show's going to go. I had a manager and an agent at the time. My agent was good, but my manager was just brilliant. He was just brilliant. I was too bad to be with him. Like,
yeah.
He was over-talented. Like, he had no business signing me, but he thought that he could get a show with me.
I still feel like that now.
Like, he thought I could get a show with me. So he was powerful as fuck. Well, fucking, he wakes me up the next morning, guys. I'm broke as fuck. Okay, I'm living with Terry, $700 a month rent. We can't make it. We got 3 or 4 cats. You know, you ready for this, guys? I got a call. Bling, Joey, Jeff, how you doing? I talked to those people last night. I got them up to $15,000 an episode for the pilot, and if the show goes, you're gonna pick up $27,500.
Holy shit!
First time on TV
for the episodes?
Per episode.
Holy shit!
With a 13 episode commitment.
Ooh. Did you get it?
Listen to me, bro. I'm telling you a fucking story.
I love when you call me bro.
You gotta break the fucking drama here. This went on for like a day and a half. Then I got a call from my agent. This is going to happen to you, Kate Quigley. You ready for this, Lee Syan? You're broke. Lee, you're broke. You just had to borrow money from your father. You're about to borrow money from your mother, and your agent calls you and tells you got a meeting, and the next thing you know, they want to do a show, and you're the host on NBC, not fucking Oxygen or fucking Mama Luke Central. You've been here for 2 fucking years, Lee. 2 years you've been here, and NBC is already barking. And your manager just calls you and says to you, listen to me, they're going to give you $15,000 for the pilot. And if the show gets picked up, which we have so much power around it, you're going to get $27,000 an episode for the first season.
Oh, my God.
Okay, Lee, you're going to hang up the phone, call your mother.
Of course.
Call everybody you know. Okay. I'm fucking ecstatic, okay? Now NBC wants to see me again. Back down in Paramount. I don't know why we're going to Paramount. We shoot down to fucking Paramount. And there's the black agent and Jeff, my manager, who's a barracuda. Okay? We go into the office. They talk to us. We're going to type up the contracts. Beautiful. I walk out of that room. All I'm seeing is Coke rocks and women. All I'm seeing are
women
Coke rocks and women that look like you.
Oh,
that's all I'm seeing. Women flying, women getting fingered, sucking dick, eating ass, the whole thing. $27,500. That means right off the bat, I'm getting $275,000. I'm getting about $400,000 when it's all said and done. I'm fucking walking out of that room, and all of a sudden the black agent turns around and looks at the little Jew, and she goes, "Hey, I think you're undercutting my client."
No. Oh my God, no.
And he goes, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "You're undercutting my client." my client should be getting 25 for the fucking pilot and 35 for the fucking episode.
No.
And I'm looking at her, and my insides are falling apart. And she's like, well, I'm the agent, you're the manager. You weren't even supposed to negotiate the deal.
What?
Dub FX, yeah. Rule inside. No freedom, no soul. Sky loving. Sky loving.
Well, a smart rapper. Today, I'm back in the studio, and I'm just going to tell you this, man. We're going to talk about today 5 things you should never do when you're in a professional studio. I don't give a shit what you do when you're in your home studio, doing all that weird shit that you've been doing, scratching your ass, whatever you're doing. It's none of my business. But when you're in a professional studio, especially if you pay for studio time, there's 5 things you should never do. We're going to go over those today. And these are things that are going to protect you from, you know, having any enemies at these studios, and also being able to come back to the studios. Because if you go to a studio, you do these things, you may not understand why it's a messed up thing, but people who work at the studio, or it's their studio, they're looking at you. They may not be saying anything to you, but they're like, oh my god, this motherfucker is not coming back here, right? And trust me, I know, because I've been in a lot of studios. I've seen a lot of people do some fucked up shit in studios. Really annoying, just disrespectful, and people don't like working with those people when they're disrespectful. So you got to keep these things in mind. You're gonna learn today, all right? So let's go over those things right after the intro. Number 1 with your monkey ass. Do not touch the gear. You see these knobs? Look, I ain't even gonna touch it. Can't touch this. Right? Because I don't know what to set on right now. Because he's running the session. I'm not even gonna touch it. Even I know. Don't touch the gear, man. Don't touch the gear, because how it's set up. Look at this. See this? Let me show you this real quick. Okay. When you see all of this shit, these are precisely set up. When you touch something, very expensive something, 1, you might potentially break it. Number 2, you could mess the whole damn session up. So you could change one thing. You could change one plugin. You could deactivate one plugin on accident in a session. It'll mess the whole sound up of the whole thing. The engineer comes back in here. He sits down because he wants to go take a quick piss, right? And he comes back. He's like, well, this doesn't sound the same. What you touch? And you don't even know what the fuck you touch because you don't know what anything is, because it's just so expensive. So number 1, don't touch the gear. Okay. Number 2. Don't put drink over the gear. Don't do that. I could do it. Because I live here. But I could do it though. But I prefer not to do it. Because when you actually put drink over gear, you could potentially spill. How much does this board cost? Like $85,000. What? Not $8,500. Shit's expensive, man. Look at this. Let me show you this right here. Because I got some of this gear. I got this at home. He got 2 of these motherfuckers here. This right here, the Avalon 730, that's 737 SP, right? This is 2400, 1,000, 1,000. Don't even know what these things are. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, couple thousand, couple more thousand, 85,000. Right? That's like, this shit's expensive. If you drink something near the gear and the engineer sees you doing that, he's like, so crazy. Don't put the drink near the gear. You don't even set your drink near the gear. See this area? This is a drink-free zone. You don't put shit near here, okay? Like maybe blunts and shit, but you don't put you don't put a drink near, because if it spills, you're gonna have to fix that. That's expensive. So just keep your drink away from the gear. So far we got don't touch the gear. Don't put your drink near the gear, because your drink or your food may touch the gear. And I was gonna eat a burrito over the gear, but then we discussed it. We said that's probably not a good idea. Now, number 3, if you go to a studio, if you actually pay for studio time in a professional studio like this, a $250,000 studio, you should always know that you're gonna go in the studio, and do not plan or accidentally stay past your allotted time. If you do, the chances are they have somebody else in the next time slot. You're gonna overlap. That means you're affecting their money, which means if you do overstay, you need to pay them for the time, because time is money. But just be respectful, and if you need to come back, book another time, or ask if you can stay, and ask prior to. Look, if we ran over an hour, like, is that okay? And I'll pay you extra. Say, they'll let you know. No, I got another person coming in. But if you stay, you cannot stay past your allotted time. Don't even plan on staying unless you ask. That's a big deal, okay? Because keeping the engineer happy and the person who runs the studio is key to you building a good relationship. Plus, you want to be good friends with people who run studios anyways, because you don't know who they're dealing with. They could be dealing with other big people. They're a big connector for you. especially if you're out in LA or wherever you're at, they're dealing with the local rappers. They're dealing with the local singers. These are people you want to know. So you want to be best friends with your engineer. The engineer is your best buddy, okay? So just keep them happy and don't stay past your allotted time slot. Number 4, and this came straight from my boy himself. He said, "Don't stand over my fucking shoulder." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good one. We're gonna put that on. We're gonna put that in the thing." No, but I already knew that. Don't sit over the engineer's shoulder if he's working, especially if he doesn't like really know you, because he's gonna feel very uncomfortable. And you're gonna get a messed up mix, or he doesn't want you trying to steal his secrets and his how he mixes and all these things like that. He's like, you do your part, you record and do stuff like that, and he'll do his part. But don't sit over his shoulder watching him like he's on Instagram DMing some hot chicks and you're trying to get the details on exactly how to do it. Like, you don't do that. That's not how you do that. So don't stand over the engineer's shoulder, okay? That's not a smart choice. Number 5, I witnessed this with a lot of hood rappers, and I know that you know what I'm talking about. You're in the studio. And you probably do the same thing. I do this too, but I need to give this as a tip as well. Is when you're in the studio and you're playing a song, do not, by any means, you can blast a song when you're listening to it, when they're listening back and it gets really loud where you damn near can't hear it, and you're in the club and you leave with your ears ringing. But you need to make sure that when you blue blast it to listen to it, that's fine, but you have to turn it back down, way back down when you're mixing it. When it's being mixed, you don't listen to it really super loud. When you play back, you're trying to vibe to it, you can play it loud. When you're in the studio, make sure that you're not always playing it super loud. The engineer has sensitive ears. Okay, the engineer's in the room with you. He has sensitive ears. He mixes with his ears. That's his tool. It's his instrument where he makes his money. So you don't want to be blasting your song like super crazy loud. Okay, put it at a medium to loud level, but don't go crazy with it. Okay, and also you don't want to blow speakers. Not that you would really blow the speakers, but you potentially could, depending on the gear they have. Because I've blown speakers before. So I mean, it was a home studio, but still, So. That's 5. Let's go over these again real quick. Number 1, don't touch the gear. Number 2, don't put any drink or food near the gear. Okay. Number 3, don't stay past your allotted time slot. Okay. And if you're going to, make sure you pre-plan for it. Number 4, don't stand over the engineer's shoulder. And number 5, don't play it too loud. Okay. You want to keep it like medium to loud. And if you want to blast it, do that when it's on a MP3 or whatever, when you're driving home and you blast it in your car, but you don't want to blow the speakers, you don't want it to be annoying. So that's it, y'all. Hit me with a like, hit me with a subscribe, hit me with your 4 bars for the day. I'm going to be doing videos, in-studio videos, other videos, all the content videos, expanding the content. Y'all know, Rap Tweets is back. Y'all can submit for that, but you can't submit for it unless you're part of the community, which is coming very soon. Lots of opportunities there, marketing courses, bad boys guys, rap videos, how to write songs, how to write lyrics, how to write choruses, all that shit's coming. And link it with a lot of people.
For they don't know what they do. It's much better for you when you forgive. Just forgive. Forgive. For they don't know what they do. It's much better for you when you forgive. Just forgive. Sadhus, babas, and pseudo shamans speak of enlightenment, sacraments, men in holy garments. Say eradicate ego, but there he goes, preaching without practicing the worst. Spiritual ego, the things we hate in other people, we may become. Best we forgive, not just with words, but with our actions. Stuck in a loop, trapped in a zoo, going round the circles. Break the cycle, flip the script, jump over your hurdles. I try to push the limits of my mind. Raise the energy from the base all the way up my spine. Rewire the circuitry that keeps me blocked and in a bind. Cause everybody knows what you will seek is what you find. The mountain is high, you got to climb to change the view. The ones who make it to the top, only a few. And you never be a master of your mind. If you pointing fingers and blame the one who's blaming you. So forgive, for they don't know what they do. It's much better for
What's
you
up, everybody?
when you forgive. Just forgive. For they don't know what they do. It's much better for you when you forgive.
For everybody who subscribed to the channel, I want to say thank you. You guys pushed me over 30,000 subs within the last 1.5, and I look forward to hitting that 40,000 subs so I can give away another pair of shoes. I was at a gas station the other day, and I'm pumping gas, and some youngsters roll up, and there are probably, you know, 2 gas pumps behind me, kind of like at an angle, and I hear him talking, and I'm like, you know, I'm rocking the tank top, just pumping the gas, acting like I'm not paying him no mind, but I'm always watching everything around me. And the youngster gets out and he's like, God damn, that nigga big as fuck. I'd have to have a Desert Eagle for that big motherfucker right there. And then his homie gets out and says, oh yeah, that nigga, he on swole, man. You know, I'd have to do something, man. I couldn't handle that. And you know, I didn't really say anything. I'm kind of like listening, and it's a quasi compliment, but it's also a quasi act of fear as far as what they said, because they're already, you know, implying that they would basically shoot me if it came down to it, because of fear of my size and lack of their, I guess, ability to throw hands if it came down to something where we had to throw hands. But better yet, why would the first thing that popped into your mind when you see a big black guy is that you'd want to shoot him? Why would that pop in your mind? And these weren't black youngsters that were saying this. They were, they appeared to be maybe of Mexican descent. You know, maybe Mexican, maybe Armenian. I couldn't really tell. But you know, they didn't approach me or act threatening or any manner. I just kind of laughed it off because, you know, I've heard youngsters before say, man, I wouldn't fight his big ass, I'll just shoot him, because they're just, you know, scared to death of their own shadow. But why would the first thing that popped in your mind be, I'm gonna shoot this big ass black guy? That's a serious problem in our society, man. You know, fear of a big nigga. You know, a lot of you guys run around and you pretend to be tough guys, but you're really scared to death, man. You live in fear. You're not really cut like that, but you want to rock that lifestyle like you gangster, but you ain't got a bit of gangster in you. And to make matters worse, you would really entertain the thought of killing another man, spending the rest of your life in prison, possibly be on death row for premeditated, just because this guy happened to be bigger than you and you incited some bullshit between the both of you guys. You know, you got into it and, you know, you felt that the situation called for death. Now, me personally, you know, growing up, I see a lot of big motherfuckers in my hood on swole. Everybody worked out. Everybody was putting up 225 in the gym. Everybody could chunk them. But I didn't just, you know, go around, you know, seeing everybody that was, you know, on huff, thinking that, man, I'm just gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill him. I never entertained those thoughts. You know, I would take my chances catching a fade, and if I got an ass whooping, at least I, you know, stood up for myself before I decided just to kill a man. I valued a man's life more than just a fight. Now, don't get me wrong, I've done a lot of ignorant shit in my times, and you know, I've had some situations, but I never felt that, you know, if it was a situation where I had to get down and chunk them, that I would just kill a person rather than throw hands. I would give the person an opportunity to see what they were capable of, and if they're really, you know, about their reputation, before I would try to actually pull a gun out on them. I never got down like that. I didn't grow up like that, you know. I got into a lot of fights on military bases, you know. I was always around bigger kids than myself. And to me, you know, the whole interaction of, you know, fighting, you know, getting down, chunking them, catching a fade was a part of the game. You know, that's what made the game exciting when I was young. you know, walking around knowing that, you know, I was tossing up, you know, X amount of weight up in the weight room, but I had these hands, and if a motherfucker wanted to catch them, he can get them. You know what I mean? He can get them put upside his head. But it wasn't like it had to be a death type situation, because I didn't feel it was worth it. I mean, unless somebody, you know, pulled out a strap and started busting, then, you know, maybe that would call for something different. But just because we were fighting, I don't think that it would be necessary just to pull a gun out and start shooting somebody. But it's just a sad mental state, and a lot of these youngsters, you know, they think they gangster, and you know, I was tempted to say something like, you know, you dumbasses would really want to catch a life sentence behind shooting a guy that was bigger than you because you were scared, and then you'd have to be around 1,000 motherfuckers big as me up in the pen that'd be ready to fucking bust your motherfucking head. They wouldn't even imagine the aftermath of what they did, crying when that motherfucking detective had their ass up in that cold room, you know, talking about you looking at, you know, 30 years of life. You guys got to do better than that, man. You young motherfuckers, man. You better start doing some motherfucking push-ups, some motherfucking dips. You better start going to the gym, hitting the motherfucking bag, taking some motherfucking karate, some, you know, Krav Maga or some fucking Kung Fu or something, man, because, you know, if all you can do is shoot, you ain't gonna survive in this lifetime, man. Not as a free man. As soon as you get your ass whooped, you wanna go kill somebody, believe me, you're gonna get caught, and you will go to the pen, and you will do a bunch of time. So wake your ass up, man, and change the way you look at other human beings and how you perceive interacting with people. You know, I see a big motherfucker, I'm like, man, what's up, Big Swole? Big Yoke? All right, I see you, Mr. Arms, or, you know, Baby Arnold, you know what I'm saying? I give motherfucking props, man. You know, I never was like, you know, it felt like I want to take that away from somebody who worked hard to get to where they're at, that I wanted to shoot him. Oh, that big motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot him. For what? You little weak ass nigga. Step your motherfucking game up. Try to ask that man how he got like that so you can get your swole on. Get your head out your motherfucking ass. You know what I'm saying? Or get your motherfucking head off, your head out of the motherfucking television playing them fucking video games. You know, smoking that motherfucking spice. But the game is bigger, man. And I'm here to try to lace you guys up, because you make that fucked up mistake, you're gonna regret it. Had a homie who had a son who talked a lot of big shit, wanted to be a gangster, and fuck around, was out there, you know what I'm saying, you know, trying to be in the mix, and got caught up in a fight in front of a bunch of other people, and got his motherfucking ass whooped. We was a fair fade, and felt that, you know, it was an embarrassment. So he somehow acquired a gun, and when he seen this gentleman at the mall in front of other individuals, he decided to shoot him like 8-9 times and killed him. Well, there was witnesses all around, and this youngster, I think barely 17, basically threw his life away because he couldn't handle a fade. He couldn't handle the fact that he got his ass whooped and go home, do some push-ups, lift some weights, and go back and try another day. He decided to take another man's life, another young man's life, and he got 50 years. So he's sitting up in the pen doing 50 years, and the homie said whenever he goes to see him, he just cries, man, saying he wants to go home, but he can't do nothing about it. You got witnesses, cameras, everything, and you shot a man in broad daylight because you got your ass whooped. You guys better rethink your program, man. You want to be motherfucking gang bangers, hard hitters, whatever you want to call yourselves. You motherfuckers, you ready to throw your life away? Well then, this ain't the channel for you. But if you're trying to make a positive change, then wake the fuck up. Subscribe to the channel and do something with your motherfucking self, man. And start asking questions and learn how you can get your motherfucking body right, your mind right, and get your head out the fucking gutter, because like I said, you throw your motherfucking, you roll a dice and you think that you're gonna get away murdering somebody. Ain't no statute of limitations. They will find your ass. Somebody will testify against your ass, and you will be in prison for the rest of your life. Worrying about dropping a soap, worrying about falling out, and worrying about carrying motherfucking shame. So wake up. If you see me pumping gas, you ain't got a trip. I'm not gonna motherfucking do anything to you. You know what I mean? If anything, I'll pass to one of my motherfucking workout books so you can learn how to keep your motherfucking.
I think we're ready now. Let's do it. Let's go straight in. Kabaka Pyramid
DUB FX. Hey, them not got no style like we. I tell you, them not got no style like we. None of them no wicked, no wild like we. Kabaka Pyramid, me the lyrics, DUB FX. Them not got no style like we. I tell you, them not got no style like we. None of them no wicked, no wild like we. Kabaka Pyramid, me the lyrics, DUB FX. Hey, me lyrical from my barn, yeah. Put the fire red on your.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Lockdown 23-1. And today we're gonna be jumping back into the penitentiary mind state. I know a lot of people, man. A lot of people say, man, stop talking about prison. Okay, stop talking. You're not in prison no more. But this channel is built and intended for the individuals that might be going to prison. You know, 1 out of 200 people are locked up in a prison right now in America. That's right. 1 out of 200. That's a lot of freaking people. And a lot of these individuals are out on bond, terrified, not knowing what the hell they're gonna do. They've never had any kind of experience being locked up. They might not even be on the streets. They might be, you know, going to prison on some white collar crime. They're not about that life, but guess what? They're gonna have to go. So always keep that in mind when you're watching this channel. It's helping a lot of individuals. I'm not just here meditating on my past and, you know, cherishing my moments in the penitentiary. Look, prison was hell on earth. I cannot sit here and explain that enough to you. I mean, I had a decent time in there for what it was worth, but at the same time, man, you're just rotting away, you know? You're just rotting away, and there's nothing cool about prison. So with that being said, let me also tell you my back is blown out. That's right. Every now and then, like once every 5-6 months or so, my back will go out on me. I don't know why. It's like I got some kind of pinched nerve, but I went to go pick up Lucy last night, and her big bone self just freaking broke me down. It felt like I got shot in the back, and now it's a struggle for me to even sit here in this chair to make this video, but I am pushing through it, and I'm making y'all some content. So I hope you enjoy, and the people that might be going to prison, I hope you learn something from this, because this is real stuff, all right? You know, I made a video on, you know, how not to look like a fresh fish in jail, and this kind of falls into the lines of that category. Jail and prison are very different, all right? They're very different. I mean, there's some things that are pretty much the same, but when it comes to the lifestyle and how inmates live, it's totally different, okay? When you go into prison, people are doing some serious freaking time. In jail, they're just awaiting. They don't know if they're gonna be facing a lot of time. And sometimes jail can be worse than prison, believe it or not, because people are so stressed to freak out, and they don't know, you know, they're just getting taken away from their family, and all kinds of stuff is going through their head. They just now losing their jobs, losing their kids, losing their marriage. But when you get to prison, you know, a lot of people have kind of settled down. They've came into terms with what they're facing or what they're gonna have to do. But when you get into prison, there's inmates that's been sitting there for years and years, and that's what's bugging them now, okay? Not the fact that they don't know what's gonna happen, but the fact that they know they're probably never gonna see the streets again. And also when it comes to gang life, man, it's a lot more organized, and the racism level definitely increases when you get to prison. But I'm gonna tell you all a few things, few tricks. If you do happen to go to prison and you don't know what to do, you might need to meet someone or break the ice. A lot of people, that's one of their number one worries, okay? It's not really so much being raped or stabbed, okay? Because a lot of people in jail will tell you that that stuff doesn't really happen so much, and the individuals that are getting stabbed and stuff like that are usually gang affiliated or people that owe debts, okay? So the majority of people going into prison are really worried about if they're gonna be able to fit in, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you a few things that you can do to really fit in, break the ice, and get into the groove of your stay in prison. Now we got to break it down in steps. The first thing that you're going to be doing when you step foot in prison, okay, you're going to be eyeballing everything. People are going to be eyeballing you. But the very first thing, okay, after getting booked in and going through all your little physicals and stuff like that, you're going to be going through a series of holding cells, all right? Holding cells. A lot of people like me, when I first went to prison, they put me in this cell. I thought that was my cell for the rest of the bid, but it wasn't. It was like a little receiving room, all right? So they jumped me around to 2 different cells before I even got to the main population. So usually when you go to prison, the first cell that they put you in is not going to be where you're housed for, you know, the remainder of your sentence. So just keep that in mind. But when you do get to the housing unit and you see all these people staring at you, everyone's like, okay, we got someone new. What you're gonna do is walk straight to your cell. But when you get to your cell, more than likely your cellmate's not gonna be in there. And especially depending on what kind of level of prison, let's say you're in a low level prison, dude's probably out doing activities until, you know, count time or something along those lines. They're going to school. But usually in like a 3 or a 4, if your cellie's not in there, he's probably in the pod, you know, because there's really not too much movement going on. I mean, there is movement going on, but not as much as in a low-level prison. So you're going to be looking out for your cellies. He might even be in the cell. That'd probably be the best route that you should hope for. But if he's not in the cell, you're going to ask someone close to you, hey, you know who sleeps in this cell? You know, after putting your stuff up. Usually the cellmate that you have will come up and introduce himself. You know, he'll see you unpacking all the stuff in his cell, and you'll walk up there and say, what's up, you know. But the point is, you're going to want to meet your cellie. First thing, smoking, okay? Have a little sit down with them and find out what kind of individual he is, because you're going to be doing a lot of time with them. You know, you're not getting transferred unless you get in some trouble or something along those lines. You're going to be spending all your time in the cell with that guy, you know, so you're going to want to get to know him and figure out if you can actually do that. And a lot of new individuals, they'll go into the cell thinking that that's the cell that they have to stay in, you know. They have these people, they're like counselors, okay? They're like counselors, and you can talk to them about certain things in prison, or even, you know, the correctional officers. You can tell them straight up, look, I talked to this cellmate, man, you just moved me in this cell, I talked to him, man, we are not clicking, okay? There's gonna be some serious problems if you don't find me a new cell, you know? And that's just it. Let's say your cellmate's a really old individual, stubborn, probably looks like a racist, you know what I mean? You don't want to be doing time next to that dude, so you might have to tell the correctional officer or whoever sergeant, lieutenant that might walk through, look, don't think of yourself any lower by doing this, okay? It's not any kind of fear, okay? It's just simply because, hey, you know you ain't gonna click with this dude. You know you're not gonna be able to spend a certain amount of time with them. But you gotta approach these correctional officers the right way. You can't just say, hey, oh man, I gotta get out of this cell. This guy's too old, man. He's too old. I can't click with him. You can't say that, you know? I always said the same thing every time if I didn't like the person that they put me in the cell with. Look, me and homeboy are gonna have problems, all right? As soon as you lock these doors, I can almost guarantee the goon squad's gonna come, you know? So it's up to y'all. And typically, they're going to get you up out of there. They don't feel like dealing with all that drama. But sometimes, they won't. They'll call your bluff and leave you in there. You know what I mean? But anyways, you're going to want to figure out how your cellie is and if you can do time with them. The next thing is very vital to me. I think it is one of the most important things for you to get into the mix and break the ice with a whole bunch of different kinds of individuals. And keep in mind, we're talking about Virginia State Penitentiary. It's nothing like the West Coast where it's all segregated. You're going to be dealing with all kinds of races, okay? Not just your kind. I mean, unless you want to just deal with your kind. But sooner or later, you're going to get in the mix with other individuals, man. That's just how it is. It's blended. And a lot of prisons are blended. But one of the best ways to break the ice and get to know individuals within the pod, man, you better learn on the streets or in jail how to play cards, okay? No, it don't matter what institution you're in, unless it's like some kind of supermax. You're going to come in the pod and you're going to see people either playing chess, dominoes, checkers, cards, spades, pinochle. This is the type of stuff that you better have learned in jail. Because like playing cards and tabletops like that is just like second nature to people in prison. Okay, that's just, it's like drinking water, eating food. That's something that's always being done. And you think that a lot of card games might have gambling. A lot of card games, they don't gamble. You know what I mean? I used to roll up into a pod for the first time, even though it wasn't my first day in prison, but I got transferred maybe to a new prison or a new pod. Man, I would put my stuff down, talk to the cellie. I would go down to the spade table or whatever, and I'd be like, yo, who's got next? You know, I don't even know any of their names yet. You know, I don't know any of their names. I'll be like, who's got next? And they'll be like, you. And then, you know, once you start playing cards, you get to small talking. They'll be asking you questions the whole time they're playing cards. But yeah, so where you coming from, bro? You know? what kind of charges you have. And they're going to start questioning you left and right. Now, another major thing that you need to look out for, okay, when you first come into prison, there might be people coming up to you. Yeah, even in Virginia prison where the racism and the segregation isn't really at high, there's still a higher level of racism than you ever seen on the streets, okay? So when you go into prison, let's say you go into your cell for the first time and two guys come and roll up on you, two black dudes. Let's say you're a white guy, okay, and two black guys roll up on you. They're not typically going to be looking to make friends, okay? They're actually doing some fishing. Someone probably sent them your way to do a little fishing, find out if you're a child molester, find out if you got any money. You know, they might ask you certain questions that might lead into canteen, you know? Man, don't fall into that trap. As soon as you meet someone and you start talking about money and food, that's bad, okay? That's bad. Just completely veer off of those questions, you know? Don't be scared to be like, look, bruh, what does that have to do with anything? You know what I mean? What is my money or my food? How did we even get to this subject of canteen, bro? I don't even know your name. So be on the lookout for that, man. People are always out there scouting, and you might have, typically, you might have an old individual come up to you, man, for real. Most of the times, it's the older individuals that come up to someone because they can see if someone looks like they're probably lost or shy or intimidated. They kind of, it's almost like their way of doing time, meeting new individuals and telling youngins the ropes. But some of these old heads might be freaking booty bandits. So you got to be very careful, man. You know, it's so hard to explain because there's so many different variations in prison. You know, so many different kinds of inmates, so many different kinds of prisons that roll in different ways. And, you know, there's a lot of undercover homosexuals in prison, man. You might not have any earthly idea that dude's on that type of level, but he's trying to become your friend and sugar you up to become, you know, his little sex toy. For real. That stuff happens on a regular basis. I told the story on Little Bobby, and a lot of people said, hey, you should have helped Little Bobby. Look, how am I going to help Little Bobby? You know what I mean? I can't help everybody. And, you know, the same thing goes for a black guy. If he goes into the cell and two white dudes roll up on him, ask him all kinds of crazy questions, man, even though you more likely will never see that in a Virginia prison. Normally, a black dude walking into prisons and be rolled up on by his own race. You know, you typically don't ever see a white dude, just a couple white guys just roll up on a black dude on his first day in prison, walk in the cell and ask him questions. You don't see that. I don't think I've ever seen that. You know what I mean? So yeah, always be on high alert on who's going to be talking to you first, okay? Find out who your cellie is. And I can't stress this enough. One of the best ways to break the ice is to learn your tabletops, okay? Go out there, start playing cards, after you use a phone or something, whatever the case is. And then when you're playing cards, you know, dude might question you a little bit and you answer the questions truthfully. And then you start asking him questions on how everything functions. Hey, how many people do I need to get a shank? How many people are carrying shanks in this prison? Is there people getting raped? You can literally ask these dudes all this stuff. And they might laugh at you, some of them, but some of them are going to be real and authentic with you, man. You know, these are real questions that you need to ask in the penitentiary, especially someone that you might be playing cards with for a day or two. Very vital, especially with the shank situation, man. A lot of establishments, they carry a lot of shanks, you know, and you might seriously need to get yourself one. And that's just the facts of life in the penitentiary. You also got to be ready to fight. You know, a lot of people ask me, hey, is it possible for you to go through prison and jail without fighting at all? Man, look, I'm sure probably it is, okay? But I'll tell you this right now, it's very rare, okay? Very rare that you're not going to at least get in a fight during your whole time in jail and prison. I can almost guarantee 99% of the time, you're going to have to throw them hands, regardless of what kind of respect you show to people and how polite you are. Someone's going to test you and you're going to have to throw them hands. Just mark my words. Even me, man, I was one of the easiest going cats, most joyful and cheerful individual in prison, always making people laugh, telling crazy stories. I still fought, but most of the times that I fought were on my own choice because people were annoying the shit out of me, you know? Sometimes, man, when you get around a certain pod or block, these dudes be going crazy, man. And one thing I can't stand is a bunch of freaking foolery. You know what I mean? I like to play and have fun, you know, goof off, but sometimes, man, these individuals just push every button, and they don't mean to. That's just how they are. They're acting like freaking fools. Especially when I'm on the phone trying to hear my old lady talk dirty to me and someone wants to just keep on freaking screaming and carrying on. I'll never forget that. I dropped that freaking phone so quick and put hands on the guy. You know what I mean? It was a good rumble though. I ain't gonna lie, he got the better half of me. Man, I'll tell you what, I apologize if you see me doing these little cut scenes. I'm going back and forth in my seat. My back is killing me, you know? And I think it all started from prison. Believe it or not, I was doing clean presses on the yard. Clean presses are pretty hard to do. You pick them up from the ground, throw them up, press them, and bring it back down. And you know, one time I did it, and then my back just went out on me right there in the freaking weight pit. And I had to have strangers help me carry me off the freaking yard. You know what I mean? I was completely immobile, but I've told that story before. Anyways, now one more thing on your first day, how to break the ice, man. This is very vital as well. And I'm not talking about no level 5 or 6 super max where you're 23-1. I'm talking about like, you know, level 4 and under, okay? Because level 4 and under typically have these kind of things going on, okay? Sports, okay? You go into the rec yard, you don't know anybody, but you might see a soccer game jumping, softball game. You won't probably see softball too much anymore. They're pretty much getting rid of those, you know? Handball, basketball. Wouldn't typically say basketball unless, you know how to play basketball, because most of the time, I said in my previous videos, black dudes run the basketball court, you know what I mean? So whether you're white or black, just don't think that you're going to go on the basketball court and play a quick game of pig, all right? Almost every single time they go to rec yard, they have some kind of tournament going on. So just keep that in mind. But when it comes to like soccer or, you know, any other kind of sport, handball, stuff like that that's going on in the yard, look, those individuals are typically the ones that you want to say, hey, can I get in on it? You know, because they're active, okay? Most people that are on the yard and are active, they're not really into too much unless they're lifting weights. But most people that are doing sports are not really into the drama of the prison, okay? You'll be able to tell because the individuals that are all about that penitentiary life, that gangster penitentiary life, they're usually huddled up, you know, talking about the drama going on, or they're clicked up within the yard. The other individuals, you know, that aren't really about none of that crap, they're over there playing soccer, you know, doing freaking triathlon type stuff and playing frisbee, stuff like that. Those kind of cats are not worried about the freaking prison politics so much. They're just doing their own thing and killing their time. But the guys in the yard to look out for are the ones that are huddled up, clicked up, you know, they're just standing, staring at everything going on, you know, just acting really suspect. But for the most part, you know, people playing sports are typically the ones for you to meet and introduce yourself for the first time, because they're already mingling with all other kinds of races by playing sports. You're going to see, and keep this in mind, this is in Virginia, all right? And I know it happens like this in a lot of other prisons, You'll go out there, you might see black, white, Hispanic, Asian all playing a soccer game, you know? And those are the guys you want to get up with, because they're not worried about race, they're not worried about their gangs or anything like that, because if they were, they'd be chilling with their whole clique. But you know, to wrap this up, there's all kinds of ways for you to break the ice and introduce yourself to individuals, but there's one huge piece of advice I do need to tell you, man. Do not act more hard than what you are. Nobody likes you acting like a freaking hard ass. No one likes that, okay? Just be you. Be relaxed, take your time with individuals, and don't try to show off or tell crazy war stories or try to get in a mix with the most gangster-fied individuals in the pod, man. I can almost guarantee that you're going to live to regret it. Your word is bond, and respect in the penitentiary goes a very, very long way. It's nothing like the respect out here in the streets. I'm talking about the respect level is so high that I'm talking about if you even drop your pencil in front of someone the wrong way, it could get you freaking beat down, okay? Always make sure you say, excuse me, pardon me, I apologize. You know, it's so strange because in the streets you'll never hear that kind of stuff, but in prison, man, it's like you gotta be 100% polite, okay? Because the wrong way that you handle something could another inmate can take it personally and straight right there on the spot, just simply because you didn't say excuse me. It's very strange, man. Very strange how everyone has to be so polite sometimes in prison. But you know, there's other inmates that aren't polite at all. They're scary. They know you're not gonna do nothing because they got 50 freaking soldiers.
We got generation in the place. So me sit up on the body track and let the rhythm take me with this. Your sick beat a ring me when me
Anyways,
sitting on the way. No other music can make me elevate, yeah. Don't you confuse it when I come yourself to play with your feet. Wash down the evil and the dirty tongues them. If you don't want to see we sing it on your back then. You never like the sound, there's no problem. But don't you come to we lucky for you around the game, no. There's no need to fight, make we free we mind. It's coming from we heart and soul. Searching deep inside, I know. Hey, reggae music grinds we up, vibe we up. Me never ever let it drop. In a roots rock steady, in a rubber dub style. Until the end we ain't gonna play it all the time. Reggae music grinds we up, vibe we up. Hey, me just a bust it non-stop. Give me the one chop music and a steady bass line. Bring back this unique flavor that we like. Yeah. You better stop the record if you know appreciate it. Been a few years till we hear the very same shit. Reggae music on the music, let us face it. It's basic. We must do things up and leave the place lit. And now we unite and we say, forget the people who might try to underrate you tonight. Reggae music always lead the way. Lead the way. Open up your vision. Alright. You're lacking sense of humor wherever you go. Sitting behind your computer, feeling like a hero. Feeding all them dirty rumors, spreading over your soul. You better play it cooler. I throw your friends to narrow. Reggae music rhymes we up, vibe we up. Hey, me never ever let you drop. In a roots rock steady, in a rubber dub style. Until the end we ain't gonna play it all the time. Reggae music rise we up, vibe we up. Me just a bust it and stop now. Dub FX, what you say? Hey,
I said, pull out the rhythm, yeah, we better pull it quick. Burn out the fire till early morning. Now we're reaching higher, we about to hit the peak. All my warriors now come and join in, right? Don't let them stop you or get in your way. You can spread that fire, sit and meditate. Say what you mean and mean what you say. You got the power always. I said, I don't. Pull out the rhythm and the fire. Dong, pull out the rhythm and the fire. Say that dong, pull out the rhythm and the fire. Dong, pull out the rhythm and the fire. Generation. Cause I'm a phenomenon, me prove it, try to know no matter what them I said, them I try them I do, we go follow the rhythm, go follow with you with it.